And good afternoon, members of the jury. Hell has no fury like a woman scorned. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Great argument by opposing counsel, but I forgot to talk to you about the facts of the case, about what the witnesses said, about Detective Vanderlyn and her lack of investigation. If I didn't know any better, I was watching an episode of The Sopranos. Just the names changed. Somebody disrespected a mobster's daughter, and they went to go whack him. They go kill him. That's what this case really is. Not just the video that shows you what it shows you. Of course it doesn't lie, but it doesn't show you the whole story. At the moment of truth, you can't see who's in that car and what they're doing or not doing. You'll never know. It's impossible. State can argue all they want. They weren't there. Shameful that you didn't get to see the real evidence in this case. It's a shame that nobody cared. Thank God he had lawyers that cared, that asked questions, wanted to know the truth. 10-minute interview by Detective Vanderlyn. 10 minutes for two people who are key witnesses and never go back to talk to them again. That defies logic. See, the two reasons for that: total incompetence, or she knew if she asked more questions, she'd have a problem. These guys were lying. Her incompetence would show. Either way it shows. Either way. It's ridiculous. This is not Sherlock Holmes. This is Barney Fife. I'm sorry if I'm using old terms from shows, maybe RFD, but this is crazy. Palm Beach County, one of the most wealthiest counties in America. A 10-minute interview will ask him what happened. And that's fair? That's fair to Mr. Rudolph? Arresting him at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning? With 2 10-minute interviews and shell casings and not give a damn about what really happened? Is that fair? How did he get away with that? How? How do you not search the photo? You saw the photos. I'm going to show them to you again. You saw this. You've all been paying attention. We appreciate your sacrifice. We know it's brutal sitting there day after day listening to this. You saw the photographs. You heard the testimony. There's a food truck behind the gas station or the car shop. They don't even know if it's working or open or not. No one even bothered going back to check. Why didn't anyone check? Tons of officers from West Palm. They're at her disposal. She's the producer of this case. If this was a movie, you'd probably walk out in the middle of it or change the channel, but you can't. It's real life. This is what she's giving you. There's not one mention from the state about Vanderlyn. Of course not. She's an embarrassment to the shield. She shouldn't even be a cop. It's ridiculous, this investigation. And gives you questions that you're going to have for the rest of this case. You'll never know. No one will know what really happened. It's impossible to tell. Why can't you look behind a fence? It takes 3 seconds. Why? Why can't you get a ladder and look on a roof? I had no evidence there. I don't look for anything unless I know it's there. It's the most absurd statement I ever heard. Been doing this a long time. A first-year cop right out of the academy would know you look for things. How do you know it's there if you don't look? She sounded like someone running for office that didn't know what she was talking about with all this, the totality of the circumstances. The investigation begins as soon as the arrest is made. What investigation was done afterwards? Nothing. You asked her everything she did afterwards. Zero. Took her a year and a half to get medical records. Why are they showing you all these photographs? Tyler Robinson's injuries. We told you he did it. There's no question he did it. They're not asking for sympathy, but they're showing you photos. Horrible photos They could have showed you an anatomical chart, but instead the medical examiner comes in and painstakingly shows you every single wound, every single trajectory, which was right to left, by the way. None was from the back. I even asked him, I turned my back. I said, sir, any shots come from the back? And he finally said no. They're all right to left. Why are they showing you all this? But they don't take a single picture of my client, of Mr. Travis Rudolph, of his brother? What's going on here? Most absurd statement, she needs a warrant. That's ridiculous. You don't need a warrant to take a picture of another human being in public. It's absolutely false. It's a lie, along with many other lies. Can't check a database. The gun expert comes after her. Oh, detectives check the databases all the time. Everything she said was false, just about. It's ridiculous. This is not a shoplifting case. Even if it was, the person accused of shoplifting deserves a fair trial. She did absolutely nothing to give you all an ability to really know what happened. And that's not fair. It's not fair to him. It's not fair to the decedent's family. Most of all, it's not fair to you all. That's not the way we try cases in America. Thank God we have this Constitution where the police are checked. Because some police do a good job. And other police officers, as you've seen in this case, I'm not blaming all the cops. Most of the cops just did what they were told. But this lady was the captain of the show. And she didn't give a damn for whatever reason. Either she wanted to convict him and get a notch on her belt because she's a new cop. Oh, I got a celebrity. I got a former NFL player. I'm not going to give the jury any evidence to show I was wrong. Come on. This isn't Russia. It's not fair. It's not fair to anyone. Most of all, it's not fair to you all because you didn't see. How would it hurt if someone went back even? Even if you buy the excuse, well, I didn't look behind the fence because I had no evidence of guns. She ignored the hand. You don't need a doctor to tell you that. That's common sense. That hand could have been holding a gun. Why do I have to bring it up? That's her job. The crime scene people told you that they saw that and they said it could have been a gun. The lead detective is either completely stupid or a complete liar. Or both. Why didn't she even look at that? Why? I make a big deal over we had to hire an expert. Of course we did. Police don't work for me. I can't call up 50 cops who've been to all these homicide scenes and start telling them to do this, do that, do this, start collecting evidence. I can't get out there and start bringing down the crime scene tape and we talked about this in jury selection, and start looking for evidence that this cop didn't do. That's not my job. I'd get arrested. We'll talk about who should have been arrested in this case. The wrong people are sitting at this table. Dominique Jones, Tyler Robinson, Keyshawn Jones, and Chris Lowe should be sitting there for the death of their friend. They got the wrong person. They got the wrong person because nobody cared. And all they're going to do is show you that tape and play it 1,000 times so you hear the gunshots over and over and over. I heard thousands of gunshots in this case because I heard that tape over and over and over. It's 39. It is what it is. All in complete succession. You have no idea. The state has no idea. I have no idea what Travis Rudolph was facing that day. He didn't start this. Let's talk about the witnesses. I have a stack of notes. This is half of my notes from this trial, from these witnesses. And that's why we have you all there, because your memory is going to be better than mine. But I have stacks of notes on what these people said and the absurdity of their statements. Saw the way they acted, the way they disrespected us, made fun, made believe they didn't understand the questions over and over. And we'll talk about what happened down before Mr. Rudolph started shooting. Their own witnesses, whether you believe them or not, but their own witnesses, Keyshawn Jones didn't say anything about that, but Tyler Robinson did, that Sebastian was fighting. And more importantly, Chris Lowe, I painstakingly went through it with him, that he said that Sebastian was fighting not too far from the car with Darryl Rudolph. I had a reason for asking that because I know what the state was going to argue. There's no reason for this. None of this happened. He's an aggressor. He's a violent murderer. Is that what this evidence shows? Did he come out of his house? He probably should have came out with a gun. Maybe they would have ran away, these tough guys who cased out the place first, but he didn't. That's reasonable. That shows his character. You saw him on the stand. Most mild-mannered person. Shocking. He didn't even get upset when the prosecutors are accusing him of horrible things. He's still mild-mannered. So let's talk about what happened. And let's keep in mind what this case comes down to, like I told you in jury selection. There's no who did it. The question is, can they prove they made the charges? They rubber-stamped Vandalin's investigation and didn't give a damn, didn't question Miss Rudolph, never did to this day. They could have sent her a subpoena, didn't care, because they didn't want to hear anything contradictory. Then asked our Rudolph to come on in and tell the story. You expect those two people to trust the police after they arrest their son and brother with no evidence? They knew what happened. Call a lawyer. Don't go down there unless you make sure everything's on tape. Cops can lie to you. You heard that. Vandalin said that. She has a right to lie to people except about their rights. She could put a tape on, put a tape off. So why in your right mind would you go down there when they falsely arrest your son and your brother without protection to make sure the truth comes out? All they had to do was subpoena him. Oh, I've only done that 10 times in my career. You've done nothing in your career. The 2 or 3 cases you had. In this case, it was abominable. It's horrible. And in jury selection, I was annoying you guys for about an hour and a half asking you the question. Every single one of you. There's even interruptions about this. Every single one of you I asked. If you remember, let's go back to jury selection a couple of weeks ago, but I know you won't forget because I was annoying, asking you these questions. What do y'all do if I prove, beyond all reasonable doubt, that no question, that my client was acting in self-defense? And everyone said, he's not guilty. Now you see why. Then you see the law and you understand it a little better. It's very confusing. It's a very complicated issue on justifiable use of deadly force. And then I said to you, what if the state proves he definitely was not acting in self-defense? No chance, no way. Beyond all reasonable doubt. Y'all said he'd be guilty. And then every single one of you, I asked the question, what do you do if you can't tell? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he could have been, possibly not. And y'all said he'd be not guilty. Every single one of you. We maintain he was acting in self-defense. He is a hero to his mom and his brother. But there may be some unanswered questions. Why? Because no one searched. No one searched the path. Is his life worth a car drive down the path? Just to look. Is anything thrown out of the car? The next day they knew there was a gun. They knew it that night, actually. That morning. They heard the guy with the dog, McMichael, Agent McMichael. Thank God for Agent McMichael. Thank God. Because you wouldn't even know Tyler had a gun because he lied to the police. I'm hurt. I'm injured. I can't do this. It's not what the paramedic said. I'm not saying the guy wasn't injured. Of course he was. He was sitting upright. He had all his faculties about him. He never mentioned to the police he had a gun. Then he goes to the hospital. You think these trained detectives are going to question somebody when they're under anesthesia or medication that they don't know what they're talking about? Of course not. He doesn't even tell the next officer there was a gun. And his 2 friends lied. That 10-minute interview, which is absurd, never went back again because she didn't want anything to hurt her case. But now the truth's starting to come out. Y'all saw it a little bit. A glimpse of what she did or didn't do. That 10-minute interview, neither one of us had guns. Nobody in our car had guns. That's what they said. Is that true? Is that the evidence in this case? And you heard from Tyler Robinson, who's actually a multi-time perjurer who's never been charged for saying, I didn't remember in a hearing under oath in front of this court. And they give him a free ride. For that too. A free ride for lying over and over and over just so they can protect Detective Vandalin and win this case. Is that fair? You come into a courtroom and lie over and over and over and over and over, and I don't remember. You come to a deposition and say, I don't really remember, because Vandalin tells you, she tells Tyler that she had video, and he thought there was video, so he was afraid to say what happened. A couple months after this happened, he still was under the belief that the video's working. Vandalin told him, he said. And in June, when he gave his deposition, he couldn't really remember what happened at the door. And then he comes in here today. A couple days ago, he remembers everything. He had to be arrested to get here last time in November. That's putting pressure on a witness to get him to say what you want him to say, to join our team. That's the power they have. It's scary. You saw the blue line here. You saw most of these cops sticking together. Miss Perlette shows the one cop from West Palm Beach, the picture with the pockets. Oh, you saw that picture. I'll show it to you in a bit. But Miss Perlette walks up to the detective from West Palm Beach and shows him the picture of the guys with the pocket. Is that consistent with a gun? He looks at them. He doesn't want to answer. And he says, yeah, it was. It does look like a gun. I don't know if he had guns or not. I'm not an expert. It's not my job to know that. It's not your job to figure it out. It's their job. Why don't they even ask the questions? 5 months later, she said, I never thought about it until you raised it. They don't care. If you had a lawyer that was asleep at the wheel, you won't even be asked to even consider anything like that. You saw those pictures. These guys came armed. They lied. More importantly, Tyler Robinson, another lie when he comes in here. Until I get his deposition out, his prior statement, remember that Sebastian was urging you in front of your friends to bring the gun, your gun? Remember that, sir? No. I didn't show him the deposition. Now he's stuck. Prior under oath statement that he testified to. Yeah, well, that did happen. Sebastian was urging me to bring the gun in front of my two friends, Keyshawn and Chris Lowe. They all heard it. They're right there. Why are they lying to the cop? We heard Keyshawn's a smart guy. Going to school. Wants to be a doctor or something. Go to honors college. He knows what he's got to say. He's not going to say his friends had guns and pointed guns or pulled out a gun. He'll be in prison. Of course he's not going to say that on the 911 call. It's not stupid. They all lied about not having guns. Why are they lying about it? Common sense tell you that 4 guys go to somebody's house at midnight to talk? Are you taking your shirt off, Mr. Robinson? It's hot out. Come on. Lie after lie after lie. It's ridiculous. Detective Vandalin, does that mean anything to you? I don't even know whose black shirt it is, she said. Never even checked the DNA. What do you do if somebody doesn't remember Detective Vandalin, or they come in the courtroom and lie and says, that wasn't my gun? Now you'll never even hear that. You'll just find that there was a gun found, but you won't even know who said it was theirs because the person said they can't remember. Take the DNA, check it out. Y'all got your own lab. Why don't you do it? I don't mean to be funny, but DNA in this case means do not ask. Do not ask what the results are of anything in this case. Do not ask questions from anybody. Ask a few basic questions. And that's it. Is that fair? Is that fair? You decide that. Does that give you information? Is there a lack of evidence? Is there a conflict in the evidence? A reasonable doubt can come from the evidence itself, a lack of evidence, or a conflict. Why didn't anyone check the roofs or behind the fence or the path? How hard is that? There's hundreds and hundreds of cops around who can do this. No one asked me to do it. No one asked me to do it. No one asked me to do it. That was every single witness's statement. And Vandalin's excuse was, I had no evidence there'd be a gun. Well, you did. You found out that night there was an extra gun, and you knew it wasn't Dower Rudolph's. Well, something should tip you off there's another gun. Go back to 40th and 30th, Broadway rather, and go check now that you found the gun. Nobody asked me to do it. She didn't want to know. She didn't want you all to know. Because she made the arrest and she wants it to stick. She writes the report, the probable cause. She's the saleswoman who can write whatever she wants and arrest somebody. How scary is that? She can ignore everything she wants and put in whatever she wants and charge somebody with murder. That's scary. 2023, that's the way this thing works in Palm Beach County. But that's not the end of it. Because as she admitted, she has to have probable cause, even if she puts BS in her report. And I'm sorry I used the word BS when I questioned her. It's the first time I've ever done that in my life. So I was so flabbergasted at her testimony that she can come in here and double talk and triple talk and tell you, I need a warrant for this, I need a warrant for that. It's nonsense. It's an excuse to not do your job. It's foolishness. I wouldn't trust that lady if she's giving me a parking ticket. I would double check to make sure she knows what she's doing. My meter was expired. I'd go check my meter, thinks she's wrong. That lady don't give a damn about anything in this case other than getting a conviction and not letting you see the whole truth. And that's not fair. They can play those videos all they want. I challenge them to play them 1,000 more times. Press the spot shotter another 1,000 times. You can hear those shots over and over and over. You can't see what happened in the final moments when two guys pointed a gun. She wasn't there. She doesn't know. I don't know either. But what's reasonable? Why would he lie about a gun? He forgets a gun in his pocket? Tyler forgets a gun in his pocket. Who forgets a gun in your pocket? Why'd you bring a gun? I wanted to be a man. That's what he said. I was riding shotgun. Well, he was riding handgun, but yeah, he was riding shotgun. He wanted to be a man. Is that what a man does? These guys aren't kids. They use the term boys over and over, and that's not fair either. They're not boys. These are men. He forgot he had a gun. Sorry, excuse me. He didn't forget he had a phone. Didn't want my phone to break. I left it in the car. Why is Keyshawn lying and telling y'all that his friend, Sebastian, brought his phone? Saw the pictures with the pocket. Now he knows the whole case. He saw the discovery like they're saying my client did. He sees everything.
Objection of facts not in evidence.
Sustained.
This guy knows what's going on. He's told everything and shown everything. He knows what's happening. It's common sense. Why is he saying he has his phone with him? Because he knows y'all are going to see pictures or saw pictures of that pointy thing in there that Vandalin says, no way, that's a gun. At one point, I even think she said, when I was showing you the picture, you got to be crazy or something like that to think that's a gun. Well, maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think I'm crazy on that point. It's possible that was a gun. It's a good chance it was a gun. Do you remember Dominique telling you that her phone messages wouldn't have mattered? Didn't happen. She got away with it, basically. Keyshawn told you the same thing, where he parked wouldn't have mattered. A lot of things wouldn't have mattered. They got caught. These are smart kids. These are smart young people. These are smart adults, whatever word you want to use. They fooled the cop, or she bought into their nonsense, didn't ask any more questions. I hate to say it, but she's a dummy. Vandalin,
Sustained.
She didn't care. 10-minute interviews. I didn't arrest, and I'm being facetious, what Vandalin said. She was sitting right there. 5 hours. She deserved 50 hours. I stopped because it was getting late and tired. I'm sure y'all had enough. Could have went over and went double or triple that. I didn't arrest Dominique because on the 15th she told me that she erased messages. Yeah, she told her that day because she knew Keyshawn signed the consent And now the gig is up. Now they're going to find out. She forgot she probably sent it to Tyler. And plus, the months it took them to download everything, and who knows what they were doing or what she was requesting. Miscommunication between me and the other officer who does the phone. Miscommunication. She had the password from Tyler Robinson. Why is she hiding that? Because I'm asking over and over for it. Takes 2 years to do it. Is that fair? She was trying to get away with not doing that too. Miscommunication. It's ridiculous. Things that went on here. It's not fair. It's not showing you the truth. It's not letting you even get to even close to being the truth. A good investigator, whether they did it that night or later on, will go back to the 40th and Broadway. Take a look. Take an hour, half hour. Put a drone up there. The sheriff's office got everything. Millions and millions of dollars. Taxpayers' money. Thousands of police officers working for them. West Palm would help. Not a single person looked. Then you would know. Did they dump it there? Did they not dump anything? Can't tell you. You'll never know. Did they come back and get what they threw out? Why didn't Tyler shoot back over and over? He'd shoot back. Probably forgot to put a bullet in the head, in the chamber. You can't shoot a gun. That was some of the testimony from the expert, unless there's a bullet in the chamber. You know, some of y'all know shoot guns. You all know this. If you try to pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen. My client wouldn't know that if someone's pointing a gun at him. That's the testimony. The gun was found without a bullet in the chamber. He pulls it out. Maybe he took the bullet out and threw it away. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. So many unanswered questions here. It's not Travis Rudolph's fault there's unanswered questions. The government took the job of prosecuting him and saying he's guilty, so they have to prove it. And y'all agreed to well and truly try the case against the state of Florida versus Travis Rudolph. Why didn't they treat their witnesses like they treated mine? Why did I have to get up there and start vigorously cross-examining them, arguing and fighting with these people until I was exhausted? Ms. Perlette was exhausted fighting with them. Is that fair? They represent the people of the state of Florida. It's not winning at all cost. It's not winning at all. Nobody wins in this case. Everybody lost. There should be more people on trial in this case, not my client. And that'll never happen because nobody cares. But your decision is to decide whether or not Mr. Rudolph is guilty based on the evidence. That's it. No one's going to ask you, did Vandalin do a good job? Did anyone commit perjury? Did anyone tamper with evidence, a 30-year felony? Anyone carrying a concealed firearm, Tyler, in his pocket, never get charged? Is this what we're about? Is this the court system that you get a free ride? I'm a homicide detective. I don't worry about those things. Is that really fair? 30-year felony, a 5-year felony, multiple other felonies? Forget about conspiracy to commit murder. Terroristic threats that you're sending to your brother and your brother sending back to you. Who knows what these people were saying to each other? We can't hear their phone calls. Who knows what she erased? The calls, the text. How come they don't take the phone from her that day? Why not? What's going on here? Dominique Jones is like Hurricane Andrew. I hate to use this silly analogy, but she is. Almost 31 years ago, Hurricane Andrew hit down in Miami and Homestead. And yeah, we saw the hurricane coming. I don't know if y'all lived in Florida back then, but people who lived here knew it was coming, but nobody thought it was going to hit that bad, and it wasn't that strong. No one took it for real. Like Mr. Rudolph didn't take it for real. Hindsight's 20/20. He should have. He should have. No one in his family did. No one wanted to believe it from the girl they loved. A mom treated her like a daughter. And Keyshawn and Tyler and Sebastian and Chris, they joined this hurricane. They were little tornadoes in there and joined it. Easy to prove the cases against them, all the things they did, but they're not on trial. I'm just talking about it because they get a free ride for everything they did. All in the effort to convict Mr. Rudolph and not let you really know the truth about what happened here by not looking for evidence, by not testing evidence, by not questioning people properly. And the hurricane hit his house, and he didn't see it coming. He's guilty of not being smart with women. Whether he was cheating on his girlfriend or not, no one deserves to get whacked or beat up by 4 guys. Even 1 guy. It's not fair. It's not their business. It's like a Sopranos episode. You go get your family, your brothers, and go whack somebody, you go beat them up, or kill them. Not fair. Is that what... Are these innocent guys, are they heroes? That's what you call a hero? People that go... Thugs, 4 guys, and where I'm from, you call them hoodlums. 1 guy's a vigilante. You bring 4 guys, it's a gang. Or a posse, as the state used that word. Posse, whatever word you want to use. That's scary stuff. Detective Vandalin, anyone ever come to your house at midnight with 4 guys? Thank God, no. She said that. Probably the only truthful thing she said, because she didn't realize why I was asking it. Ask multiple officers, if someone's pointing a gun at you, can you tell it's loaded? No. You're going to shoot until you neutralize the force, until it's over. And they're trained. Yeah, I'm going to shoot. I'm not waiting to get shot first. It's common sense. If you see someone pointing a gun at you, you don't wait to get shot. You don't turn your back and run home like the state would want you to do. They wouldn't prosecute them for shooting my client anyway because they got a free ride. You'd be a dead man and it'd be funerals and you'd read a little obituary, that'd be the end of it. You never know. Thank God he's here. Said he would do it again. God forbid he was put in the same situation. It's better to be tried by a jury than tried by these thugs. It's better, safer, be alive. He lost 2 years of his life waiting for this. Prosecutor says, oh, Mr. Sebastian's poor family. Yeah, I feel sorry for them. They have nothing to do with this case. It's horrible that a mother lost a son. When you find out the circumstances, it's also horrible that Mrs. Rudolph was terrorized by the gang of people that came there. This poor lady already lost her husband. She's so worried about security, she has a screen that I personally have never seen a screen in somebody's home, in their living room. She can't sleep at night, scared to death. And the state wants to beat her over and over and over by asking the same question. Why don't you call 911? I couldn't, I was terrified. It's a miracle this woman's even standing. It's a miracle. I'm not asking you to have sympathy for her, just trying to talk about the facts of this case. The real story about what happened and why she had all those cameras. She thought they were recording. Police have that. I don't have their video recorder. They're telling you it didn't work. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but according to them it didn't. Hopefully they're being straight about that. They got Mr. Nash's videos that really don't show you any details. And you can also see the oil slick. The car went forward first. It clearly did. Take a look at these pictures. You'll see it. How in the world with this evidence and not testing anything and not questioning people properly, why didn't Detective Vandalin go and talk to Tyler Robinson's brother and friend that were at the house to find out what these guys were talking about? She knew about that. Never even went there. It's ridiculous already. Why not even attempt to do anything? I don't do something unless I know it's there. That is the most absurd statement I've ever heard in a courtroom. I've heard hundreds of people lie in a courtroom, but I've never heard a cop say that.
All right, sustained.
Never heard somebody say that. Ever, ever, ever. I don't search unless I know it's there. They didn't arrest Dominique because she admitted she did tamper with evidence, a 30-year felony potentially. Well, if somebody walks in and says they committed murder, or attempted murder, or aggravated assault, and they confess to it, they're going to jail. But not this girl. I think she's working with them, trying to prove that they're telling the truth instead of being cold and neutral like she claims she is. Her investigation starts when the arrest is made. That's baloney. That didn't happen. Never started. put the handcuffs on him, you got all those shots. He's got to be guilty. I don't want to hear from his mom. I don't want to hear from anybody different than what I already did. I did enough. I did a good investigation. She told you that. She really believes that, or she's lying again. She knows she didn't do a good investigation. She can't even admit she made a single mistake. Not one mistake. I made plenty of mistakes during this trial. I'm not the best speaker. I made mistakes in questioning people, and I apologize. Hey, I'm sorry. You're right. That answer, you're right. We're all human. The law on justifiable use or threatened use of deadly force in Florida, we'll talk about that in a second, but the burden of proof, and this is a long instruction, comes down to what the state has to prove, is Travis Rudolph does not have the burden. This is on page 10 of your instructions. Travis does not have the burden of proving he was justified. It's not his job to do that. It's not my job to do that. And you all agreed to this in jury selection, and this is the law that you all agreed to follow. This is on the second paragraph down, indented paragraph, where it starts with Travis Rudolph does not have the burden of proving he was justified. In using or threatening to use deadly force. You don't even get the first-degree murder. You don't get to aggravated assault. You don't get to any of the lessers if he was justified in using self-defense, or you don't know beyond a reasonable doubt that he was justified. Then you don't even go to the instructions on murder, second-degree murder, attempted murder, because it's a defense to every single one of those charges. Justifiable use of deadly force. Told you from opening statement, Travis Rudolph did kill Sebastian Jean Jacques and did wound Tyler Robinson and did shoot at the other men. It's no secret. The question is why. So he doesn't have to prove. Travis does not have to prove, or the defense doesn't have to prove, doesn't have the burden of proving he was justified in using or threatening to use deadly force. Instead, for you to find the defendant guilty, which is Travis Rudolph, the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant was not justified in using or threatening to use deadly force, just like we talked in jury selection. It really boils down to this. That's why I wasted so much time. But it really wasn't a waste, as you can see now. Because this is the heart of the question. There's no way any reasonable person at this point could say, with this evidence, beyond all reasonable doubt, he was definitely not using self-defense. There's no way anybody can say that in this case. Why? Because you don't have all the evidence. You have nothing other than a couple of videos which show what they show. And you hear the gunshots. It's never been in dispute. Ever. It's not in dispute. But you can't see who's holding the gun or who's not holding the gun. You don't even know if Tyler Robinson was in the car. You heard the bullets ricocheted all around the car. Little pellets come out, and according to the medical examiner, they break up. You don't even know what was in his body. They didn't even show that to you. You don't know where he got shot. There's no blood in the back seat. How's that possible if he's laying on his friend, which is the first time he ever made that statement, as you heard in this courtroom? Or Slow says he wasn't even sure he got in the car. You can't tell from that video. I remember some cross-examination of Travis Rudolph yesterday where the prosecutor's showing him a videotape saying there's one guy already in the car. That's ridiculous. The guy was pressing the button to open up the door, so of course the lights go on. You can't see who got in which door. Vandalin may have to over and over and over. She's the lead detective. Who got in what door? I didn't understand what she said. Double talk. Couldn't tell you. Physical evidence doesn't tell you. You see, and I don't know if you saw it in this courtroom, but you do see Tyler Robinson going like this. But he doesn't fall down. No one checks the DNA. How do you know it wasn't Travis's DNA anywhere? How do you know it wasn't Mr. Rudolph, Dower Rudolph's DNA anywhere? Whose DNA's on that car? How did it get there? Some of the people, Detective Allen, didn't even remember there was blood on the outside of the car, but the crime scene people did. But no one checked it. Not important. Do not ask. So you found out that Keyshawn texts his sister first. That Travis is a dead man walking. He wants you to believe, well, I did it to satisfy her, make her feel better. He did it. He said it was in response. That's not even true. He texted her first. Travis is a dead man walking. Is this a person who's going to go over and talk to somebody? With his 4 best friends, buddies? They all carry guns. Why is Chris Lowe trying on, according to him, not this day, but why is he checking his friend Keyshawn's gun in his pocket to see how it fits? Who carries guns in pockets? It's foolish. It's dangerous. Sounds like gangsters do this. Guns in pockets. He said he tried it on. Well, he didn't try it on, but he put the gun in his pocket to see how it fit. Before this case. What's the purpose of that? You get glimpses of these people. Glimpses of what's going on. You'll never get the full story because they're using all kind of social media calling where there's no tracking. FaceTime, there's no tracking. You can't hear or see what they're saying. You look up it online, you'll see this. It's easy to figure out. These young people know what's going on today. I don't even understand what Travis is talking about the dating stuff, about girlfriend, not girlfriend. I don't understand these terms. When I was younger, you're dating someone, you're going steady. Today, the terms are completely different. But either way, you could tell this is a battered man. He really is. His neighbor saw it. He's always getting hit, and he stands there like this. And he had no clue that someone didn't have a right to hit him. That's sad. He really didn't know. He's a mild-mannered guy. You saw it. If I'm up there and someone's accusing me of stuff, I'll be fighting back. He doesn't even yell. Doesn't raise his voice. He's calm. That's who Travis Rudolph is. I'm not asking you to find him guilty or not guilty because he's a football player, but certainly that's important. This girl was looking for a payday. I'm a realtor. Ms. Perlette, have you sold anything, is what she asked. I rented one apartment. COVID, I had nothing. I pay for everything. I'm a self-supporting woman. Then when she got pressed, but my mom is a medical assistant. That's a self-supporting woman? This is a woman who's a gold digger, who's hoping Travis gets back in the NFL. She took advantage of him. He was too dumb to see it. Like most men. Not thinking with his right head. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. She's a gold digger. Plastic surgery. You already got a boyfriend. You need plastic surgery? I'm mad. The last 30 days, I haven't seen him. I'm getting angry. I don't trust him. He's in Miami. Trying to get back into he had a contract to play in the CFL, the Canadian Football League, the following month after this happened. Hoping to get back in the NFL, where he has many friends, as you heard, who are major players. Didn't bring their names out here to impress anyone. Didn't even mention one of their names. That's the reason why he carries a gun also. It's around wealthy people who are targets. It's not a joke. It's a dangerous community we live in. It's a dangerous country, unfortunately. None of those guns are illegal that he has. They're perfectly legal. You heard that from the testimony over and over. The drum of 100 sounds crazy, but that's legal. You can have 100 of them. You can have 50 of them, I asked the witnesses. Nothing illegal. He's trained. He has a concealed weapons permit. He's worried about security for his mom. She's worried about security. He's worried about security for himself and his friends. That's the truth. That's what's going on here. You got a glimpse of it. A glimpse. Not just like the prosecutor wanted you in jury selection talking about, well, if there's a flag over here, it's got to be an American flag. You don't need to open it or anything like that. And then I gave you the silly example, what if the court administrator said, well, we had no money from COVID, we're buying flags from China, and they put little symbols on there, and that was a trial. You really want to know the truth. If someone's on trial for anything, or a flag's on trial, you want to unfold it. Why would you put blinders on like they do? I remember watching the Kentucky Derby recently. Some of the horses have blinders. They can't see the other horses because they don't want them to get off track. They want them to just go straight. Well, who has blinders on in this case? Who? Who has the blinders on? Starts with the producer of this investigation, Detective Vanderlyn. And hopefully it ends here in this courtroom. So how do you prove right now, how does the state prove to you, no matter how many times they show you those videos and play those gunshots and show you the autopsy photos and show you Tyler Robinson's injuries? And forget about all the witnesses. No one mentioned them to you. No one mentioned, you heard. I'm not even going to go through all this. This will take me an hour or two. Talk about all the nonsense that these people said and how they acted. You saw the defense witnesses. Did anyone act like that? Anyone playing games? I don't understand the question. Anyone prior commit perjury and say, I didn't remember? It's ridiculous. You saw that. You heard it. We trust all of you. That's why we put you all here together, that you use your common sense. That's something you should consider, how the witnesses acted, how they answered questions. Those are things that are important for you as jurors, and we all talked about it in jury selection too. How do you judge if someone's telling you the truth? I asked you all that question. How do you know who's being straight? What if they gave a prior inconsistent statement? Got to be shocked to learn that someone lied over and over at a hearing and in front of the same judge in a courtroom saying, I don't remember a thing. Maybe he doesn't want to get arrested again, so now he's on the team. The first responding officer, the guy wearing the mask. Y'all remember him? Probably the most credible I don't even know the right word, the most credible independent witness there is in this case. And he's wearing a mask. You can't even see his face or his eyes to judge his credibility, but you don't need to because you heard the intensity. I'm not going to say his name because you know why he's wearing the mask, but Officer P. You saw the intensity of how he was trying to save the guy. And he was so hyped up by saying, I was reliving the moment as he was talking. I'm sure you were too. That I felt my own pulse possibly. I was trying to make sure he was alive. That guy cared. He cared. That's what we needed on this case to find out more about what happened or how it happened, where it happened, when it happened, who did what, who said what. Go back and question people. But he said something very important. Besides trying to save this young man's life. You remember what he said? He said basically that as he drove by going northbound, he didn't see the car. And then he made a U-turn because he knew it was at 40th and Broadway. He passed by again and sees the reflection of his lights on two I forgot the words, something like figures in the background. They weren't waving him down. Put that in his report. He testified to. He found that very unusual. What are they out of the car? What are they doing by the fence area? And not until he goes in there and says, y'all need police help. And they say, oh, my friend shot, my friend shot. He said, if it was me, I'd be out there jumping up and down. Hey, come get me. That's what he said. He was animated. That should tip off Detective Vandalin. There's something amiss here. Your first officer there says, this guy's acting weird. What's going on? What are they doing there at the gate? Why not check? I think you know the answer by now. This is not winning at all costs. Everyone lost here. Everyone. No matter what your verdict is. But maybe something will come out, something positive. Maybe next time they'll do a better investigation. Maybe next time they'll arrest the right people. Maybe Vandalin will get demoted and sent back to the academy to do her job properly. Hopefully something good comes out of this. When you weigh the evidence, one of the things you use is your common sense. Y'all have a lot more common sense combined than I'll ever have, so that's easy. Use your common sense. You should consider what the witnesses said, and when you consider that, how did they act? You saw how they acted. Tyler Robinson asking me if I need a potty break? You got a weak bladder, Mark. Calling me Mark. It's not a game. He doesn't care what y'all think. Of course he cares what you think. That's why he's tailoring his testimony to you. People who say they don't care what you think really care what you think. Why do you have to say that? Why is Dominique saying, I'm really smart, just like my brother? No, she's conniving. She's dangerous. She's not smart. Every time she gets caught, she has no choice but to say, yeah, I did do it. It's like Tyler Robinson. Yeah, a couple days later, they find the gun. It's either him or Keyshawn, because it's going to come back to the gun store as Keyshawn. And Keyshawn don't want y'all to think he had a gun with him. Look at that video if you want. If you need to do it, look at it again. You'll see him rubbing his right pocket. What's he doing rubbing his pocket? Before anyone came out of the house, he's moving the gun. Why is Chris Lowe in the background lifting up his pants? You'll see it. He's even on the pictures I have here that I blew up. He's lifting up his pants because he's wearing athletic pants, and a gun is weighted down and his pants are falling down. All consistent with having guns. Why didn't they pull the guns out? They saw the cameras. Keyshawn said, no, I didn't pass the house. I drove and turned down Redwood. I never passed the house, but his two buddies said they passed the house. They drove right by it. They saw the cameras. Chris Lowe even said, when I was outside, I saw the cameras there. That's why I stood back. Tyler Robinson was the hothead. He couldn't control himself. State's wrong. Said that the only person said that Mr. Robinson pulled a gun out was my client. That's not true. Darryl Rudolph told you he pulled a gun out on him also on the side of the house. He's a dangerous man. These are all dangerous men. The principal theory is if they were committing crimes, they're all equally guilty. They're not on trial here, but why it's important is for you all to understand the principal theory. It's basically like the Three Musketeers. Here we got the four. One for all and all for one. And if one guy, like the prosecutor told you, is the getaway driver, and the other guy goes into the 7-Eleven to rob the store and he kills the store owner, they're both guilty of murder. Same thing in this case, the reverse. If these four guys came there to do what they were going to do, and you all know probably what they were going to do, most likely, definitely, despite what they have told you, then they're all equally guilty. And then, if they're guilty of ag assault, any felony, ag assault pointing a gun, any one of them, not two, not three or four, just one of them, they're all equally guilty of doing that, and then Mr. Rudolph had a right to shoot all of them, because they're all together in this. They caused this. Blaming my client for coming out without his shirt? That was an insinuation the government had. He was sleeping. It's his house. So he came out to start a fight? His own brother was so angry. He's cursing at him and screaming. You saw a glimpse on the video. What are you doing with this woman? Storms out of the house. The old neighbor telling the brother, tell your brother, Travis, it's the wrong woman. Sick and tired of hearing this nonsense. When DJ came home, he wasn't interested in this. He was working all day, trying to help his mom. He's a farmer boy. That's who DJ is. You heard that? He's got chickens, a potbelly pig. He's got all kind of bearded dragon, according to his mom. She thought it was an alligator. But whatever. This guy loves animals more than people. He's a homebody. He stays in his room. That's what he does, and he works. And he's sacrificing his life for his mama. That's who Darryl Rudolph is. He wants to be in Alabama with his horses and growing crops. Not a violent young man. Says Rudolph should be proud. She raised two very well-mannered sons. He saw that. And he's sacrificing for his own mom to be with her. And that's admirable. He did nothing wrong. He's a victim in this case. He's a total victim. He's not involved in the relationship. He's not involved in any of this nonsense, what's going on between Travis and this young lady, Hurricane Dominique. He's not involved in this. Comes home from work, and what happens? Oh my God, all hell broke loose when she opened up his phone. I didn't bring it to his phone. I had the password. He gave it to me. Who cares? He went to his phone. Come on. You didn't trust him. She lost her payday. She was hoping to win the lottery. And she probably promised her brothers. Remember that text from Tyler? Hey, I love you so much. I got you. Probably promised them when Travis makes 20, 30 million bucks, I'm going to share it with you guys. Not anymore. Just got thrown out of the house. You know it's the end of the relationship. Tries to break the windows, hits him with a liquor bottle, breaks his phone. Oh, how come the police didn't show you the phone? Why don't they open the phone and charge it up and show you now? I guarantee it doesn't work. What's the difference? Does it really matter? Trying to insinuate he took pictures of himself. That was vandalism. He took his own photographs of his injuries. Why didn't you blow them up so they can see him? I don't want to do that. Why didn't you do that? And then it really comes out, well, he didn't blow him up. His phone was broken and his sister took him. And the police still have his phone, so there was no way for us to get him out of that phone. Had to come from the sister. But they're trying to leave you with a different impression about everything in this case. Everything, and that's not fair. Be straight. You all know that. Was the witness honest and straightforward in answering the questions? I don't think so. Most of them did not. Not the civilians. Not at all. The witness have some interest in how the case should be decided. Of course. Everyone did in this case. They don't want to be charged with anything. They're on their team. You even see the way the officers slant their testimony a little bit. You saw that. You saw that with several of the police officers. Not all. Not the firearms expert, not the first witness, not several of the West Palm officers until they were shown that picture. And then, oh, it looks like a gun, but I don't want to say it. But he had to say it. Any pressure been used on the witness to affect the truth? Well, coming into a courtroom, being forced, I was escorted by 2 police officers. They didn't put handcuffs on me. Well, that's being forced. And then you lie about everything. Now you're afraid you're going to come in today. You better say what you need to say. Because you could be arrested again. You could be charged with perjury. You could be charged for lying and impeding an investigation. How do they have the nerve to give you a witness here who's perjured himself over and over and over and come in here and tell you he's telling the truth? It's not possible to know that. You would think the opposite, the actual opposite. Mr. Rudolph pled guilty, and it's in the instruction on page 2. The defendant is not required to present evidence or prove anything. We're not. We did more work than this investigator did in this case. Way more work to figure out what's going on. Deposition in June. I'm trying to find out where the 911 tape is. You heard that. Where's the 911 tape? Several months after this happened. Where is it? I don't know. Didn't get it until November. After I've already questioned her. Why is Chris Lowe telling you he made the call on the way out? Then you find out it really isn't. Maybe he's lying, maybe he's mistaken. Maybe there's another call. I don't know. Where's proof they even put it on the GPS? If you would have took Chris Lowe's phone, you would see that. I submit they were trying to hide evidence before they were even going to the hospital. And if you would have Chris Lowe's phone, you would know what was said and what was done and whether or not he really did GPS the hospital. Of course he could have missed the hospital under the strain of trying to get away from what you just caused, but certainly still traumatic. Could have passed the hospital. Well, why not get his phone? Then I could at least show you all if he really did do that. You'd see it for yourself. Did he GPS the hospital or not? If he didn't, you'd have another question. Why are you not GPS in the hospital? Would reaffirm they're probably dumping stuff. Have a dive team. Check the waterway. Do anything. Not one thing was done. Check Agent McMichael with the dog. If you would have asked to go down the path where the car went, could you go? Of course. Wasn't asked. Why don't you go back to 40th and Broadway? Did they ask you to go? Did you even know about it? No. No one even told them. Bring the dog. The dog's phenomenal in finding ammunition. You heard he's great. Passed all his tests according to the agent. We didn't want to find any more guns. Vandalin had enough. Because now she's getting nervous. She made a false arrest. She's not looking into this. She doesn't want you to know the truth. The jury. Eventually, she knew this case would come to a jury, and she was trying to hide everything. Couldn't even get a 911 tape right. Couldn't even get the medical records. Took her 2 years to do that. Couldn't get Tyler's phone checked for a couple of years. Nothing was done right. It's hide everything. Hide the ball. She knows that I would get a copy of the statements that her alleged victims made. Give me 10 minutes to find out what they have to say. Come on. That's either incompetent or you're intentionally trying to hide something. Well, the judge read to you what reasonable doubt is. Use your common sense. Follow the directions. Follow the law. That's all we're asking you to do. It's all we've asked you from the beginning. There's no questions here at all about whether the gun's in the pocket. Was there a gun in his hand? But what if there was? $600 an hour. It's expensive. I wonder how many thousands and hundreds of thousands they spend on this case, the state. Of your money, of the taxpayers' money, my money. Mr. Rudolph has to pay a couple of $1,000 to hire an expert because I can't call anyone up who for the police because they don't work for me. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not wearing a badge like they are, like the police do. So, yeah, I have to hire someone. So you hear a guy who went to Harvard, was a medical examiner, the head medical examiner in Palm Beach County with so much experience, and they're making fun of him how much money he makes and want to know every detail. How obnoxious is that? He's entitled to get paid. I only brought out the $500 that their medical examiner charged me to talk to me to show you how unfair that is. He doesn't charge the prosecutors to talk to him, but I got to pay. Is that fair? I don't make the rules. That's what he said. I don't make the rules. He doesn't know anything about having a death grip. He had zero experience. He doesn't even know anything about guns. He said he barely has any knowledge about guns. So, of course, I have to hire someone who's reputable, who has a good background, who went to one of the best schools in America, who has tons of experience on both sides, being a former medical examiner, and now he's a private consultant and a family doctor. He didn't come in here and say, yeah, he definitely had a gun in his hand. He could have. He didn't say that. He said it's consistent with a gun. Well, could have been nothing? Well, it's possible. Anything's possible. But he said it was consistent. That's his testimony. That's all I wanted y'all to see. That it's possible. A good chance. The questions that were never asked or answered by the police. So that's why we did that. You look at that. If you've been around this field, you would look at that and know in 2 seconds there's a good chance he had a gun. Maybe it was something else. What else could it have been? There was nothing in his hand. They want you to believe it was a spinal cord injury. There's no evidence of that at all. In fact, Dr. Maracchini didn't say that at all. I don't remember their doctor saying it, but if you all remember that, that's fine. But he said it could have been a ball. Remember that? Could have been a ball, could have been a phone. Why would anyone get rid of a ball if it was in his hand? Still be in his hand when the police got there. Sebastian's hand. Why would anyone get rid of a phone if it was in his hand? You know it wasn't the phone in the door. I have to work hard on that one too. But where's your phone, Tyler? Eventually he admitted, I showed him the pictures, and it had that fancy design on it. He had some designer, and had shattered by a bullet that went through a door. And there was no blood or hair or fiber on it, according to all the witnesses. So not consistent with any reason why Sebastian would be holding it. Did anyone have your password? How about Keyshawn? Nope. How about Chris? Nope, for your phone. The last question was, how about Sebastian? Well, maybe he broke into it. Come on. That's ridiculous. Maybe he broke into it. He wasn't holding his phone. He didn't know what to say. He knew there was a problem with that, just like he knew there was a problem with him dumping his gun. And then the gig is up when they find it. He's changing and swaying his testimony to try to convince you. Well, maybe my friend did have my phone, but you know he didn't because there was nothing on it to prove it at all. No blood, no hair, no fiber, nothing. Zero. So why would anyone take a ball and hide it? Was it in the car? There was nothing in the front seat consistent with what he would have had in his hand. These gangsters would take guns and try to hide them. Shell casings, anything that would show they're guilty, just like erasing phones. That's who they are. That's who these people are. Erase text messages. Unfortunately for them, and fortunately for you all, you got to see Tyler's phone that was in the car. It took me 2 years to see it, but you got to see it in this trial. And Keyshawn's phone was stuck in the car, so they couldn't erase things. Maybe from the cloud they could. I don't know enough about that. But you saw some of the most important messages. Dead man walking. Travis is a dead. I've never heard that, ever. Except maybe in a movie. Maybe you all have. It's not hyperbole. I don't even know what hyperbole is. I have to go look it up. I was confused what that even meant. But you all know what that means. Travis is a dead man walking. You all know what that means. These are glimpses of what Travis faced that night, and his brother, and his mom. These are the people that he had to interact with. This isn't just what you see on the video. This is everything, those 8-10 minutes of terror. That bam, 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 like you heard DJ knock on the desk here. You judged his credibility. This guy wasn't fighting with any of the lawyers or me. He answered the best of his ability. You hear all these prior statements he made under oath that were different. You didn't hear it from Mama either. You didn't hear it from Travis either. These witnesses did the best of their ability and told you what they believed happened. Their witnesses, their civilians, all of them, every last one of them was fighting tooth and nail, playing word games, asking me to repeat the questions, asking Ms. Perlette to repeat the questions when they knew they couldn't answer them. And then they didn't admit something until they were caught in deposition. Then they would say, oh yeah, I did say that. You saw the characters of these people. You got glimpses, little glimpse of who they are. What brother? Is this chivalrous? Brother and friends? This is chivalry? This is ridiculous. This is a hit. Were they going to kill him or beat him up severely? He's got scars on his body. That's serious bodily injury. It is. Why is Mr. Estes? State said he was the independent witness. Why in the world? Man who just retired, who built power plants, has a boat, trying to live in peace, likes his neighborhood, telling you that Travis is constantly arguing with his girlfriend. It's annoying. They're constantly fighting, and she's always hitting him, and he's there with his arms folded. That day, his best friend died. He wasn't in the mood for any of this nonsense, just like DJ wasn't. And once again, here he goes again. And then he hears the car leave. But then he's half asleep, he told you, or sleeping. I don't remember his exact words. It's around midnight. And here's slapping and punching and kicking. Doesn't see the whole thing. But he looks out. And he sees it's a really serious fight. I think I asked him, was some kind of serious fight, or did it look like someone could get seriously injured? He goes, someone's trying to whoop someone's ass. That's what he said. I think those were his words, actually. And he kept saying it was 3-on-1, 2-on-1 with the Rudolph brothers. Constantly. This is what he sees. He's not even outside. He's in the comfort of his own home. And he's scared to death. First time ever, he said, he grabbed his gun. Went into his bedroom. This happened fast. It's 8 minutes, roughly. 8-9 minutes of what happened. Go in your bedroom for a minute or two, you're going to miss a lot. Unfortunately, the cameras, you didn't get to see the cameras because you would have saw all this, unfortunately. I hope to God those cameras really didn't work, that they're telling you the truth. But either way, you don't have them. So we can't speculate on what really did or didn't. The evidence is they didn't work, so we'll have to live with that. He goes and grabs his gun. He's not involved. No one's at his house. He's not outside helping. Why does he get his own gun? That's really important. Maybe it's not. Hey, do whatever you think is right, but why does he grab his own gun and then put the clip in it and a bullet in the chamber? And he knows how to use guns. He's a hunter. He's got plenty of guns. He knows how to shoot them. Got plenty of practice. Why does he grab his own gun? He's not even involved in this in any way, shape, or form. He's annoyed. He just had one of the worst days of his life with his best friend passing. Grabs his gun in case it came to his yard. Well, Travis is unreasonable for grabbing his gun, and he's actually getting the crap beat out of him and his brother and worried about his mom, who no one's paying attention to. And he has a gun pointed at him. Even if he didn't have a gun pointed at him, he could have came out with his gun. Shouldn't have came out, but unfortunately, Daryl just reacted. As you see, he does react, unfortunately. Even when he talks to you, his answers are quick. He's not sitting there formulating his answer. It's not a guy who's thinking, oh, what do I say about that? Can you repeat that question? I don't understand it, so I come up with a better answer. He talks right from his heart. I even asked him about the silly question. It wasn't silly, but it really happened, about getting hit in the head with the Patron bottle. Can you describe how that happened? And he said, yeah, it was like the whack-a-mole game at Chuck E. Cheese. It's not a guy thinking about his answers. He's quick. That's what he thought. That's a game where you sit there and have a mallet, and a kid's game, and these little things come up and you bang them down real hard. That was what he's trying to express to you, what he saw this girl do to his brother. That's all. This isn't a guy trying to formulate a story or figure out how to make it better. Linda Rudolph, completely different than the state's witnesses. She could have easily come in here and tell y'all, I saw guns. I saw them pointing guns. I saw the guy without the shirt pointing a gun at both my sons, like they both tested. She didn't say that. She didn't see that. She was so flabbergasted and so out of her mind at what she was seeing, she couldn't even open her phone. She was in panic mode. Panic mode. Is that hard to believe? Is that reasonable? Mr. Estes didn't even see Travis go in the house. He only went in the house when he saw Tyler pulling out the gun. And that's when he realized, I should have came out with my gun, and goes back and gets it. So if he's this killer, this crazy psychopath like the state wants you to believe, why doesn't he just come out of the house why isn't he just sitting there in the window open, knowing that these girls sending their brothers over, his girlfriend sending the brothers over, and just waiting and just pop them off one at a time as they come up to his house? Could have done that. Could have hidden in the bushes. He didn't do that. He showed so much restraint, more than most people, and he looks up there at the camera, at the screen in his mom's house. He thinks he sees the brother, little bro that he has in his phone. The kind of guy he is, he puts the gun down. I'm going to mediate this. I'm going to calm it down. They're not going to do anything in front of my mom. Big mistake, but he did, unfortunately. If he came out with a gun, Vandalin would have arrested him and charged him with murder if he would have shot someone while they're trying to kill him. She didn't care. You shoot somebody, you're going to jail. That's the evidence that I see. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care if you're guilty or not guilty. I'm charging you. Either way, he loses. But anyway, at least he's here and he's alive. So he puts the gun down. That shows a lot of restraint, more than most people could do. More, way more. Knowing that it's now coming to fruition. Dominique calls mom. And mom is so worried from Bible study and watching videos with her twin sister that she calls her and tells her, I'm sending over to F up your son or kill your son. And then she texts her back and she says, all I'm going to tell you is that and that's the text we have. Picked the wrong one. You picked the wrong one. Yeah, well, we know that now. 100% he picked the wrong one. She was Tony Soprano. She ran this gang that night. She gets her brothers to go do her dirty work. It really is like an episode of The Sopranos or a mobster movie. It's hard to believe. If you weren't in this courtroom, you wouldn't believe it if I told you this story as my neighbor. But you got to see it. They don't mean anything, those text messages. Hyperbole. Shoot his shit up. Well, that means to shoot everything in the house but people. That's what she told you. It's ridiculous. It's silly. You know what she meant. This is what Travis is dealing with. This is what DJ is dealing with. This is what the mom's dealing with. Look at the credibility of all these people. Watch the videos 1,000 more times. Who cares? You'll never, ever see, ever, unfortunately, what really happened. Why is there an oil slick that goes forward? The car went backwards. Seen them explain that one. Maybe the video is on such a weird angle you can't really see what's happening. DJ's telling you it's not him. When he testified, the prosecutor's showing him the video and there's a guy walking. That's not me. Maybe that's Hack. Who's Hack? Who's Hackshaw? Why is he getting texted the address of 550 Teak Drive, their friend? Tyler's friend, Keyshawn's friend. Why are they texting him? Why doesn't the investigator go do an investigation on that? Why wait 2 years? Get that phone sooner. Go get Hack's phone. Find out where he was. You can triangulate it, you heard. You can tell where that person was. Go do a full investigation. Was there more people walking around that neighborhood? How'd Travis's car get broken? The window. Vandalin didn't know. She's the lead investigator. I don't know. Both the Rudolph brothers told you we didn't see her break the window. She left. Did she come back with her brothers, her friends, and do it? She said she didn't remember. That's what Miss Perlette asked her. When did you do it? I don't know. Could have checked her phone. Find out where she was at any given moment. They didn't do that. Maybe she was there giving directions around the corner. We'll never know. But she admitted for the first time ever she broke the window. Is that true? We don't know. Is it Hack? Is it somebody else who showed up? Is it a fifth or sixth guy? Oh. I remember when I was a young kid in kindergarten and first grade and stuff like that, I remember there was three monkeys with see no evil and hear no evil and speak no evil. Kind of what we have here. Don't look. Don't talk. I don't want to know anything. How do you direct a crime scene people who are, some of them, very experienced? They know what they're doing. Why not direct them to go do their job? They're waiting for you as the lead detective. I wasn't asked. I wasn't asked. I wasn't asked. Defense admits that this should be a 5-minute verdict. I'm not asking you to go back there and say anything but the truth. Based on what you heard and saw in this courtroom, that's it. You're limited to that, what you have. That's it, what you were given. There's 100 conflicts. There's 100 reasonable doubts here. There's a lack of evidence everywhere. But most importantly, I urge you all to take a vote. Did they prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Rudolph was not acting in self-defense? Did they prove that? That's what this boils down to. And if they didn't, the case is over. It's not guilty. Better luck next time. You didn't prove it to me. And then whenever you feel about what happened, didn't happen, who should be charged, who shouldn't be charged, you can talk about it outside the courthouse. But in this case here, the only question you're asked is, really, was he acting in self-defense? Did they prove he was not? And I submit there's no possible way you can say yes, beyond all reasonable doubt in your heart of hearts, that he was not. And if you all agree on that, the case is over. You don't go to first, second, manslaughter, because he's not guilty of a crime at all. He's not. Maybe he's not good enough. Possibly he's not good enough. It's not. This man was acting in self-defense. He defended his brother, defended himself. I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm not going to go through every photo. I could stand up here for hours and talk to you. It's ridiculous. You heard it all. You all remember this case. And they cannot answer that question in the affirmative that they proved beyond all reasonable doubt that he was not acting in self-defense. So justice calls for a not guilty verdict. Send a message in a quick verdict.
Sustained.
It should be a quick verdict because you don't have the evidence. You'll never have the evidence, and you all know why now. Thank you very much.